Thank you for being here today. And I'm so grateful to have Senator Duckworth here. I'm going to turn it over, though, by way of introduction, to Jim Dirksen, who is the former president of the Springfield and Central Illinois Trades and Labor. He is a Vietnam veteran. He is a devoted husband and father. And if I tried to list the rest of Jim's resume, we would be here all day long, because he is a pillar of our community, and it is my privilege to honor Jim Dirksen.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Dirksen. I'm a Vietnam veteran who was exposed to Agent Orange, and with failing health, I rely on Medicare and Social Security, like most veterans in the 13th Congressional District. Rodney Davis recently invited his friend, Speaker Ryan, who has proposed cuts to Social Security and Medicare, to campaign with him. This concerns me. As the old saying goes, if you lie down with a dog with fleas, you will get fleas too. Because of my COPD, my doctor recently added a new prescription to help me breathe. To be able to breathe so I could attend my granddaughter's wedding, to mow my yard, and in general, to live a life without dragging a bottle of oxygen behind me. This prescription would cost almost as much as my monthly mortgage payment without my medical benefits that I pay into. I can't afford my medication without my benefits that I've earned. Almost all veterans have pre-existing conditions, and Rodney claims he supports pre-existing conditions. Yet the record shows that Congressman Davis voted to undermine pre-existing condition protections. One of those bills is the bill that my fellow veteran, the late John McCain, killed with his dramatic thumbs down. Recently, the Center for American Progress listed Davis as one of the 36 worst members of Congress for pre-existing conditions. And I find it hard to believe that Davis wouldn't care about the more than 290,000 citizens in the district who have pre-existing conditions. People like our neighbors, people like my neighbors, one of whom has diabetes. Another neighbor down the street, a young man fighting colon cancer. Another young man down the street who has asthma. These are the people that we go to church with. These are our neighbors. We need to protect our neighbors and our friends and our families. You know, Davis voted for tax cuts that increase the federal deficit. And we know that this tax law gives households of the top 1% more than everyone in the bottom 60%. Corporations that got huge tax breaks are not passing those breaks on to employees. They're keeping that money. And I believe it's just a matter of time until Davis and his friends come after veterans and other seniors who've earned benefits and try to balance the budget on our backs. There's more than 100,000 seniors in our district, and we can't afford those cuts to the benefits. We worked a lifetime to earn them. Betsy Dirksen Londrigan has earned the endorsements of the Social Security Works, the Illinois Alliance for Retired Americans, the AFL-CIO, and as a member of the AFL-CIO Union Veterans Council, I urge my fellow veterans and my neighbors to support Betsy Dirksen Londrigan for Congress in the Illinois 13, because she not only understands our concerns, but she will fight for us in Congress. And that's what we need, someone in Congress that cares about me and my neighbors and your neighbors, the people you sit next to in church every Sunday. You know, it's a great honor for me this afternoon to be with Senator Duckworth. I was with Senator Duckworth 2 years ago down in Collinsville when she was first running. And she made a lot of promises to veterans like this group standing here. And I can tell you that Senator Duckworth has worked hard to fulfill those promises. And it's a great honor to introduce my fellow veteran, U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thanks so much, Jim. It's because of veterans like Jim that I decided to run for office. And I go to work every single day to trying to make their lives a little bit better. And today I'm working to help our veterans cut through the bureaucracy to receive the benefits that they've earned, to help them open up small businesses and expand it, to protect them from predatory lenders, and most importantly, to help them get the high quality health care that they have earned. Last summer, I did everything in my power to stop Washington Republicans from passing the American Health Care Act and other bills like it that would have made health care more expensive for hardworking Americans. I watched as other members of the Illinois delegation, like Rodney Davis, voted for these bills time and time again. They had nice names that sounded like they were for health care, but really they were all about gutting health care protections. I watched as Rodney Davis celebrated. He celebrated on the White House lawn after voting to rip health insurance from the more than 35,000 of his own constituents. He was celebrating the repeal of a law that helped cut the uninsured rate among veterans by 40%. The bill Rodney Davis was celebrating that day would have cost thousands of veterans across Illinois their health insurance. We were lucky to be able to stop it in the Senate, but it never should have gotten that far. And if more people like Betsy were in the House, it never would have. Our veterans deserve better than Washington Republicans who try to make health care less affordable for them and their families. Look, I know that there's been a lot of back and forth in this district talking about pre-existing conditions. But let me clear this up, because I was there in Washington when this fight was happening. Rodney Davis repeatedly joined Washington Republicans in voting to gut protections for people like me, people with pre-existing conditions. People like my little baby who's 6.5 months old right now, who was born with a pre-existing condition, a thyroid problem. These are the facts. Rodney Davis can ignore them and misrepresent them all he likes. But I'm glad so many independent, nonpartisan journalists and organizations are holding him accountable for deliberately misleading the voters on this issue. I served in the House for 4 years before I moved over to the Senate. And I watched Paul Ryan try over and over again to privatize Medicare and to turn it into a voucher program. And I know that Paul Ryan can count on Davis's vote for his agenda because whenever he needed him, Davis was there casting the vote that the Republican leadership wanted. And now that Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell are promising to cut Medicare and Social Security to pay for their millionaire tax giveaway, that isn't helping working families. Let me tell you something. Just this past year, Pfizer announced that they made $38 billion in additional profit just this year as a result of the tax bill. $38 billion to one company alone as a result of the tax bill. And they didn't turn around and give that $38 billion back to all of their workers. They didn't turn around and give that $38 billion back to their customers, the people who consume their medication. No, they kept it. And they did things like stock buybacks and increased dividends for stockholders. Betsy does not support that. She wants to protect Social Security and Medicare, and she would never vote to take away protections for anyone's pre-existing conditions. Almost 2 years ago today, Illinois voters gave me the opportunity and the honor of representing them in the United States Senate. I've been playing a lot of defense, working hard to push back against harmful bills that would have taken health insurance away from hardworking Americans and a tax bill that favored the ultra-wealthy over everyday Americans. But I really, really want to start playing more offense. I want to pass paid family leave. I want to pass an infrastructure bill to create good paying jobs right here in Springfield and all throughout central Illinois, all throughout Illinois. I want to expand access to health care. But I need more allies and we're going to get this done. And I also need more women serving alongside me. It's 2018 and women make up less than 20% of the US House of Representatives, and that is shameful. In fact, women make up 24% of the Afghanistan elected government. And yet in the US government, it's only 20% in the House of Representatives. Something's wrong with those numbers. If half of our members of Congress were women, I have no doubt that our nation would have better paid family leave and health care provisions. Amen. So I hope you all get out and vote for my friend Betsy. I know she'll be with us as we work to protect pre-existing conditions and improve veterans' health care and so much more. Let's start playing some offense, folks. Thank you.
Today, Senator Duckworth, and thank you for everything that you have done and the sacrifices that you've made for our country. You know, so many of you know that my tipping point for getting into this race was personal. My husband and I almost lost our son Jack 9 years ago. And if it wasn't for the amazing care that we received at St. John's Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, I would be a mom of 2 and not 3. And if it hadn't been for the insurance that we were very fortunate to have, it would have bankrupted our family. And then with the ACHA, they lifted the caps, and that continues to save us. Healthcare has been a driving force in our campaign from day one. And, you know, but I'm in this not just for the Jacks of the world. I'm in this for the other Jacks of the world. But I'm also in this for Jim, for Joe, for Lindley, for Sean, and for everyone else here, and for people across the 13th district. We have over 300,000 people in the Illinois 13th Congressional District with pre-existing conditions. And so this is a personal issue for people in every corner of our district. The AHCA that Congressman Davis was celebrating on the White House lawn would have weakened protections for people with pre-existing conditions and kicked over 35,000 people here in central Illinois off their health care. And as Senator Duckworth just mentioned, the bill Rodney Davis voted for would have cost thousands of veterans their health care. As the men and women here with me know, not every veteran is able to get their care at the VA. Some can only go to the VA for specific injuries that they suffered in combat or in service to our country. Others choose to get their care elsewhere or are not eligible for the VA at all. As a result, plenty of veterans in Illinois depend on Medicaid. That Republican health care bill would have cut Medicaid by over $880 million. $80 billion. $880 billion. That would have been devastating. Our veterans would have seen higher deductibles, more expensive care, and for thousands, it would have meant the loss of their insurance entirely. In fact, 7,400 veterans across Illinois would have lost their care. As I've traveled the district and I've listened closely to the veterans throughout central Illinois, they've shared with me the troubles that they face with our current healthcare system. And as their representative, I will work with anyone to improve veterans' healthcare systems like the VA without resorting to privatization. Now, over the past few months, you all know how Congressman Davis has tried to rewrite his record. When the election started getting closer, he tried to deny that he voted to gut protections for people with pre-existing conditions. And he tried to cover up the damage and impact that that bill would have had it become law. I am very thankful that independent fact checkers from many different news organizations have come forward to correct the record and to fact check Congressman Davis. The veterans across Illinois, and frankly, everyone across central Illinois, deserve a congresswoman who is going to stand up to protect your health care.
Yes.
You deserve someone who's going to be true to her word. You deserve someone who is going to stand in front of you and hold town halls and listen to you. You deserve a congresswoman who is never going to turn her back on our veterans, but instead is going to turn forward into public service, always listening, always thinking about the people back in her district, her home, and making your voice heard. Thank you. And we're happy to